Hi, diddly ho, neighbourinos. It's me, Ned Flanders, with Jake Kulkowski and Gareth Evans. We're going to talk about Sony's E3 press conference for 2018, which was good.
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
Heavy on games, probably light on surprises.
That's true.
That would be my one sentence review of it, I suppose. Plenty of samurai action games these days. Plenty of post-apocalyptic games as well.
Yeah.
And boy, do your choices matter? Your decisions shape the world.
The world adapts around you.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
A lot of that this year.
What were your guys' favourite thing? What did you see at Sony's conference that you enjoyed the most?
Number one for me was The Last of Us 2. It was one of the most anticipated things going into E3.
Yeah.
And they didn't disappoint, to be fair. It wasn't as like last year where there was just gratuitous violence and the trailer was a bit meh. But this time they showed off some gameplay. They showed Ellie going through a scene where there was just, showing off the vegetation and the
and there's plenty of violence in this trailer. However, what it's got is context. You're in the world now, and you kind of know what the setup is, and there's kind of a story bookending to the trailer, right? That it just gives you the cinematic cutscene and stuff like that, and it cuts from this really nice situation to a really not nice situation.
What I liked about it was the feeling that Ellie was scrambling the whole time, that she was like backtracking and trying to get away from these guys, and she wasn't like actively trying to kill them. She was just being pursued, and how dynamic it was. She was flowing through the environment from place to place, and it kind of felt scripted, but it looked like it wasn't at all. It looked like it was very natural.
Which is exactly what I thought looking at the original Last of Us stuff. I was like, this looks scripted, but it's kind of not. The melee combat especially and things, it looks like they're so well animated that you think, how scripted is it? And it turns out in the game it wasn't really. It was very well animated.
Everyone
combat.
thought like, how can AI for Ellie be like that in the real game? But she was.
Exactly.
She was when the game came out.
Exactly.
Last of Us 1, that is. Last of Us 2, while we're on the topic, it was flipping good, wasn't it? A little tender kiss. And then do you know what else is tender? Neck.
Yeah.
So why didn't we have one of them exploding or whatever?
That is without question, my highlight of E3. Just a tender, loving moment of humanity.
Yeah.
And then
a tender neck.
Cut to a dagger in the jugular. It's
fantastic.
It was. Yeah. My reaction was just laughter because
ultra violent trailer, right? Ultra violent trailer. We're watching it now. In case we probably would edit it in. This is demonetization all over this. The trailer was mad. I mean, this is a brutal world, and the trailer had it last time, and this is you're seeing it all in gameplay. There's one part where somebody gets killed and arrows fall out of a quiver, and how Ellie picks them up, and that's pure gameplay. Look at how that's done. We kind of still haven't seen Joel. We don't know if he's going to be in it or not. I have a feeling that he probably will, but
there was one point where they talked about your dad. Speaking to Ellie, said
your old man gave me a hard time or something.
So we think that's referring to Joel. Let's hope so.
Yeah, Naughty Dog create worlds that make you feel like it's an actual world, and that's what their whole shtick is, right? And then the characters that you actually believe are real people, and they go for that whole cinematic thing. That's what they're trying to do, and they've added elements to that. Like, I really like, for example, very small detail, the fact that the goons that are hunting you down don't really talk to each other, because they did a lot in the original one, but it feels like quite a dated idea to have guys going, where are they? Oh, they're over here. Oh, I found them. All that. There's none of that. They're just quietly looking for you, and that's kind of sinister, and it adds like this kind of slight horror element to it.
Yeah.
And boy, is it violent. So this was one of many post-apocalyptic games at E3 this year. Yeah. Introduced on stage by composer Gustavo Santaolalla, playing his Last of Us theme on a 6-string banjo, which was
Liam
nice.
Told me about that, so I avoided it. He said
it
was just some guy with some joggers and a hood on.
If it's 3 in the morning and you need sleep, that's not what you want to see.
Get to the games, innit? Get to the flipping games.
So I
watched it after a good night's sleep and I enjoyed it. And it shows, obviously, as you can tell from what you've seen and what we've said already, Ellie is a grown woman this time around. It's a dramatic shift from a romantic moment in there to a dagger in the jugular, as we said. Highlight of E3 for me.
That's what I wanted to see from him. The same but better.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
It's
pretty, when you boil it down to what it is, it's pretty standard Last of Us stealth combat stuff that we saw, but it was just different in the way that it played out. And Ellie behaves differently. She's faster, but she's more, like you were saying, she's more like on the retreat than you maybe were in the first one, where Joel would go toe to toe with him a bit more. She's kind of like scrambling back and stuff, which is great. It's a completely different dynamic. So what else did you enjoy, guys?
Death Stranding, that was ace, wasn't it?
Yes, it was ace.
A bit gameplay, dare I say, gameplay. It's like a bit of a walking sim, right up my alley. You got to see Norman Reedus going through like what looks like a Welsh mountains, to be fair.
Yeah.
A bit of slate in that.
That's what I thought. It looks a lot like Bethesda.
I feel like this gave a lot of
Bethesda.
clues about what the game was about.
Look at that. I feel like I've been there.
Well, this is something that I wanted to see, what the engine that they've acquired from Guerrilla Games and they've kind of tweaked it with their lighting team and stuff like that has got to offer. And what I have to say is
breathtaking,
incredibly impressive. Yeah.
The lighting.
As for the story, context-wise, we didn't see any Mads Mikkelsen, which is a huge problem for me, but other than that, there was a lot of context added to what these sort of sticky hand monsters that are invisible do. They kind of fast forward the aging process. Look, the part where he's carrying a pure body bag through what looks like Snowdon National Park is ace, and we saw a little bit of like typical Metal Gear Solid 5 gameplay, where you're sneaking through some mist towards the end, doing that crouch walk.
Yeah, we got bad back, the old man walk, right?
Yeah, the old man walk, innit? Which means, there's probably going to be a stealth element to the game.
Oh, for sure. And it's stealth horror stuff. And that I really liked that first bit. I kind of thought it was maybe shaping up to be something a bit like Journey, but on a AAA level, where you're just kind of pressing forward through this world to get this thing done. I would love that as well. I got to tell you, just walking through the water and stuff, and it's all about movement and traversing the landscape, which is great. But then that stealth thing comes up, and then I was kind of raised an eyebrow a little bit for me, because I feel like that could be pretty boring, just kind of going through that open area, waiting for something to because it's not like Metal Gear Stealth where you're finding cover and stuff like that. You're literally just walking out in the open, trying to avoid ghosts. Which
it's like in Metal Gear Solid 5, there was like the Parasite Squad and their missions where everything went misty and stuff. The one thing that we didn't see, which is something that's kind of been getting mumbled about everywhere, is this whole aspect of it being a kind of a bit like social media, a bit of a shared world, players needing to work together. We saw, I don't know if this is one map, one section of the map, but we saw what was a huge open area, and there was no implication of another player or anything like that. Where we saw the little bit of gameplay or whatever. Obviously, Hideo Kojima's keeping his cards close to his chest, and his Mads also close to his chest. We didn't see any Mads. We did see that woman from Bionic Woman in the 70s at the end there, for anyone that doesn't know what that was all about. And she was like, "You don't know who I am." Very intriguing, but I felt like this was definitely the meatiest we've seen Death Stranding.
Oh, 100%.
It's a lot better than last year. I think last year was just the cinematic. At least you got gameplay.
We didn't even know what it was.
In-engine gameplay.
We didn't even know what it was last year, and then we've just developing this picture of what it's going to be, and this was a key.
And the description of the video on YouTube actually lays a lot of the story out there, which is
we're getting to know what
clarifying a few things.
We're getting to know what this game is now, which is great. So we did see some actual gameplay, as we said, or it looked an awful lot like gameplay. Some stealth stuff, so a lot of kind of walking around the terrain. Looked bonkers, but and very bleak, but kind of exactly what it's been building up to be so far, which is cool. Nice. Introduced the new stars to the cast as well, as you mentioned there, Lindsay Wagner and Leia Seydoux. I'm sure I've said that wrong. Neo 2, I think, was one of the ones that caught your eyes.
I enjoyed that. Funny, actually, because I was speaking to my daughter last week about Neo. Well, she brought it up, and then she said, "You've played Dark Souls 2, but not Neo 2." And I said, "I don't think I'll make a Neo 2. They are."
And you were wrong.
And they were.
Only a minute teaser, though. There wasn't anything substantial here, right?
Well, weird, though, because, it's
a nice surprise.
I didn't watch Sony's conference live. I checked out E3 recap in the morning, and all the tiles are there. I've got a picture on the screen now, right? That's the first thing I went for here out of everything. I don't know why, but I'm on board. I know that they've got FromSoft themselves are doing a Shogun-y, samurai, soulsy game, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and now Team Ninja, the Ninja Gaiden people, are now going toe-to-toe in a feudal game in 2019, Souls-like, about ninjas. Oh dear.
And Ghost of Tsushima as well is another samurai action game. Obviously a little bit different, but it's a very similar setting, and it's still, at its core, third-person, samurai, katana combat. I've got to say, I do really like the look of this. The top of the trailer at the very beginning reminded me a lot of something like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, where you're just walking through an environment,
with
taking
some crooked,
it in.
lonely trees.
With some gnarly, looking hellscape in front of you. Felt a lot like The Witcher for me in a lot of places. It's definitely more of an Arkham magnetic combat system. It is not going to be like Dark Souls or whatever, where the combat is just a different thing. So this looks like a lot more like The Witcher 3 or the Arkham
The way that this looks kind of feels like this is going to be a bit more of a narrative experience than
hence the Hellblade thing.
That's right. It seems quite tailored.
This looks more like you're going to be
playing as this guy, doing whatever the game tells you to do, and you're going to have a nice cinematic time doing it.
Yeah, my hope for it is that what was shown in this trailer and the combat is exactly how it plays. There's no UI, and it plays exactly like this.
Which is what Hellblade is like. There is no UI.
Let's hope that's what it is, and this isn't like a cinematic trailer just to show off the mechanics and the animations in the game.
I'm totally with you there. I'm totally with you there. I get rid of all UI, in my opinion, in every game ever. But the fact that they've presented it like this gives me some hope that that it might be like that, and that because of the type of gameplay that it looks like. Yeah. And there was a HUD element there where he kind of got to the crest of the hill, and then it kind of was a bit of a panorama, and there was, this is the location that you're in. So there was a bit of a HUD element.
If the combat doesn't look too you've probably got a block button and a kill button.
You can do it in Hellblade. There's a full combat system in Hellblade.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that the UI kind of shows up during the slow-mo fight bits when they glow white.
Which is subtle enough to be absolutely
gives it an
fine
indication that this could be just what you see is what you get here, and I kind of hope
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there, guys. So that looks very nice. But again, this is just as a setting, like that feudal Japan type thing just seems to be the new hotness in 2018. Honestly, my pick of the show was actually Spider-Man, because it's just the look of the gameplay and stuff. It just feels so fresh, and it's the only game that I saw that I was like, I really want to play it to see what it feels like to play, which I haven't had in a while, since probably Horizon Zero Dawn. Just looking at a game that is not a shooting game, it's not a stealth game, it's not and it's been when was the last Spider-Man game I played that was any good, like 2002 or something. So I am really looking forward to this. It's not about a grim post-apocalyptic world or anything. It's very fun, classic Spider-Man stuff, checking out all the quips and whatever. And and that's basically it. Just gameplay wise feels like the most interesting game for me. Web slinging and stuff as well, just that traversal using the Spider-Man web slinging is so great, like in the original Spider-Man games on PS1 and PS2. It's so cool, man. And just the feeling of, like, I don't know, is it inertia? Is that the word, where you're just kind of in the air for a little bit and you're just kind of flying, but you're in control of it? It's a great feeling that hasn't been replicated in any other game outside of Spider-Man, really. So it just looks like an unbelievable PS2 game to me, this, and I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to it. So we did also see some other stuff. We saw Control, which is the third-person kind of psychic ability game from Remedy. Just mention this quickly. They're the people who made Max Payne and Alan Wake, of course, and Quantum Break. So this looks pretty good. It kind of reminded me a lot of Second Sight on the PS2, or any of the other psychic ability games that you might have played on the PS2, because they all came at once.
Where you've got gun in one hand, powers in the other hand.
Yeah, exactly. And just wrecking some shit, and they just throw some goons at you with shotguns.
You probably
and stuff.
Escape out of a lab at one point.
And this looks like a lot of Quantum Break cinematic stuff. Visually very interesting. A lot of bits on the screen and stuff at the same time, rubble and whatever. So that looked all right. Obviously, the big one was Resident Evil 2 Remake, I suppose, which we saw a couple of trailers for. One story, one gameplay. This looks tasty, doesn't it?
Wow, Resident Evil 2. The only difference between Resi and the other games we mentioned is we didn't expect it. We knew that, kind of. They did announce that they were going to be making it, and it's 20 years since Resident Evil 2 came out. This, no one actually saw coming, and this is the one. Like, Liam's been banging on about this for fucking ages.
Yeah, he's been well excited about it.
I mean, the first thing I did when I saw this was like, oh my gosh.
I better tell Liam that you acknowledge it.
Guys, you played...
Yeah, this is your Resident Evil 2.
This was the one Resident Evil that I played, and I played it all the way through. I actually loved it back in the day. To see this kind of remade in this engine with this type of over-the-shoulder camera, it really appeals to me for the nostalgia factor and the fact that I kind of know how the story goes or whatever, but it feels like I'm already invested in this, and it looks fantastic.
We actually have a release date for that, which is January 25th, 2019, so there's not too long to wait for that, I guess. So other than that, there was, I guess, Deracine from Dark Souls creators From Software, which is a PSVR game, and that's promising to be a big departure from their other games. Obviously not going to be a Dark Souls style game.
I thought at first it had the opportunity to be absolutely morbid, because it was a taxidermy-filled animal room, and there's a woman talking to a baby saying stuff like, you can become an angel. I was like, oh my god, are they going to taxidermy that baby? But I like walking simulators and these sort of narrative experiences, and I also really like From Software and everything that they've done. So what a nice mix.
There you go.
Cool name as well, isn't it?
Deracine, cutscene. Yes, it is nice. Yeah, I do like it. There's a nice surprise as well. If you have PlayStation Plus, you actually get a copy of Black Ops 3 as a bonus freebie. So that's available throughout June and July. It's available for a while. So if you want Black Ops 3 for free and you've got PlayStation Plus, just get on it. I mean, I'll play it for free. Yeah. I've never played it before. So
it's only going to cost about 20 minutes of our time downloading
exactly.
it.
So I'll take that. And then Destiny 2 as well got a nice little trailer for the Forsaken expansion. Nathan Fillion's character Cade is basically the only character that people care about in Destiny. Trailer spoilers, he gets shot in the face. That's bold, and I do like that. Killing Nathan Fillion is a ballsy move, because everyone loves Nathan Fillion. So that trailer's got my respect. So that was the Sony conference. There were some things that we missed, but those were just the things that we wanted to talk about and the things that we were interested in.
Missed.
So let us know what you thought of the Sony conference down in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There should be another video on your screens right now if you want to watch that, and a little link to Patreon if you do want to support the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.